talking about walking with God. For us to fully understand what walking with God means, I'm going to read the scriptures, Genesis chapter 3, verse 8. Then the man and his wife heard the sound of the Lord and God as he was walking in the garden. In the cool of day, they hid from the Lord God among the trees of the garden. This Bible verse tells me that God made himself available to men and women at the very beginning of time. I could say that God walking in the garden was not unusual. It was something he did on a regular basis during the time of Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve got to spend time with God and, as such, had a special and personal relationship with God. The setup from the very beginning of time was that God walked with us on earth and made himself available to us. If God walked with us at the very beginning of time, that means that walking with God was very, very important. This setup was designed to help us establish an intimate relationship with God. However, we must also be ready and decide to walk with God. This same Bible verse tells us about Adam and Eve hid from God because of their sins. Therefore, God gives us free will, and as a result, we must choose to walk with God. Enoch was the first man in the Bible to walk with God and acknowledged by God for his dedication, and as such, God took him to paradise, as said in Genesis chapter 5, verse 24. Enoch walked faithfully with God. Then he was no more because God took him away. Several Bible verses highlight individuals that walk with God. People like Noah, Abraham, Zacharias, Elijah, David, and Moses, just to mention a few. What is unique and or special about these individuals, you might ask? Well, if you take the time to read their stories, it is the intimacy that they shared with God. Because they chose to spend time with God, chose to get to know God personally. As a result, God knew them personally as well. So we can say the first step to walking with God is making the decision to walk with him. In a few more weeks, most of us will be heading back to school and meeting new people in our new grade. For me, it will be a new school and experience altogether as I head to high school. I'll meet a new pool of people and have to decide who I want to be friends with. In order to decide, I need to get to know my new friends, or hopefully friends. The only way to get to know them is to spend time with them, trying to find out as much as possible about my new friends. At the beginning of a new relationship or friendship, we know little about that individual. However, as we spend more time with that individual, we get to know their likes and dislikes, what they value and what they don't value. The funny thing about spending time with a person is sooner or later you start to share the same passion and interests. Before you know it, you start to think alike, in some cases even dress alike. The relationships become intimate relationships, and some relationships are so intimate that you can include your friends in everything you do. You know the person so well, and you know the expectations and benefits that come with the relationship. Similarly, when we walk with God, we start to think in alignment with God's teachings and focus on God's ways and promises. We also get to enjoy the resources and benefits available as a result of our walking relationship with God. Since we are aware of resources and benefits available to us, we can tap into them at any time. As a result, walking with God accomplishes two things. First, it gives us knowledge. Secondly, we enjoy the benefits that comes with walking with God. Let's look at the first thing we can accomplish: knowledge. Benjamin Franklin said, "An investment in knowledge always pays the best interest." As such, in order to walk with God, we should spend time with him by reading the Bible, attending Sunday school, praying, and being involved in church activities and discussions, hereby gaining knowledge about God. We know what is expected of us, indicated in Micah chapter 6, verse 8. He has made it clear to you, mortal man, what is good and what the Lord is requiring from you: to act with justice, to treasure the Lord's gracious love, and to walk humbly in the company of your God. We may have heard of this quote: knowledge is of no value unless we put it into practice. Having the knowledge is good, but we have to put it into practice to be effective in our walk with God. We have to walk in the same direction with God, not in the opposite path of him. We go in the direction God wants us to go. We know what God expects of us, and when we do, it results in enjoying benefits of walking with God, as indicated in Psalm chapter 119, verse 1 through 3. Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers. But whose light is the law of the Lord, and who meditates on his law day and night? That person is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers. An important aspect of walking with God is obedience. At the very beginning of the message, we talked about Adam and Eve and how God walked with them. They had the knowledge and they knew the benefits. They were given a chance to explore God's creations and know all of God's characteristics. They were allowed to enjoy all the benefits the Garden of Eden offered, but were told not to touch the knowledge tree of good and evil. However, they were distracted by temptations and disobeyed God. Due to their sin, shame, fear, and uncertainty of what will happen to them resulting from disobedience, they hid from their walk. However, we should have noticed in the Bible verse that God still sought them out, calling for them in the garden. Yes, God wanted us to be obedient and always walking in his way. But if for some reason we got off track, God is still calling us to come back on that walk with him. We only have to decide to answer the call. In today's play, the pastor tries to talk to 4 different individuals about God. One was too busy and had no time. The second was distracted by temptations, and the third was too scared. The 4th person chose to stop and take time to talk to and listen. As such, was able to resist temptations or fears. The 4th person will be able to resist any other thing that life may throw in their path. Just like one of the songs we heard in today's service, when we walk with God, God knows our name. He knows our needs, and he is our friend. God is always there to walk and talk with us through the various challenges we face. When we walk with God, we can do all things through Christ that strengthens us. When temptations and situations arise, we can stand firm. We have the benefits, the protections that come with our relationship, our walk with God. In today's praise dance song, If God, by Casey J, the lyric says, if God is with me, who can be against me? If God is with me, who shall I fear? Nobody. If no one knows me, still his heart adores me. I am saved, I am loved, I am healed. We have all the resources we need to navigate life's journeys. When we walk with God, just like the 4th person in today's play said by quoting Devotional, chapter 31, verse 6, which says, to be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Thank God for the message.